Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting. Welcome back to another Crypto.com live video AMA. I'm your host, Marina Taylor from Crypto.com, and today we'll be joined by Tiago Serôdio, Chief Community Officer, and Sandra H., Chief Metaverse and NFT at Zilliqa. Founded in 2017, Zilliqa is the first blockchain to implement sharding technology. This blockchain and ZIL, its native token, can be used for smart contracts, purchases, transfers, minting, and building decentralized applications. Here to answer your questions are Tiago and Sandra. Welcome both.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hey, Marina.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great. You?
Excellent.
Good. It's always exciting when we have two guests here at once. We asked the community for questions earlier this week, and we had a ton of amazing responses. So I'm excited to dive right into them. But before we get started with the community questions, could you guys introduce yourselves and how you got to Zilliqa?
Sure.
Tiago, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Sure, go ahead, Sandra.
Sure, no worries. So my name's Sandra. As Marie mentioned, I head up the Metaverse and the NFT departments at Zilliqa. Pretty much my role is overseeing and managing all strategy, rollouts, partner onboarding into Metaverse as a service platform. Metapolis are pretty much our first NFT marketplace that's focusing on onboarding traditional artists into the NFT space by bridging that gap between the physical and digital. So all NFTs will have a strong utility attached to them. How I ended up at Zilliqa was actually kind of really interesting because of community. And I always thought to myself, God, I really want to tell them to do these things to push forward, and Zilliqa should be doing that. So from one conversation to another, I ended up getting in contact with an ex-coworker now. So shout out to Milan if he's watching. And it just was very kind of spur of the moment kind of thing, which is pretty good.
Very organic. I like that. And Tiago, how about you?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Tiago. I'm leading everything related to community. And as I like to say, Zilliqa does not have one community, it has a community of communities. So as a project that's been around for quite some time and ready to step into the next stage of development, we have many different verticals, many different people who are interested in specific things, and also the 360 view of the project itself. So yeah, we have a very diverse community all over the world, obviously. Some people who are pure speculators, others who are into DeFi, others who are waiting for the metaverse, waiting for our gaming platform as well to be launched. The NFT community. And it's really interesting, really dynamic. Also, our developer community is thriving, which is something that I also touch on. And yeah, it's really exciting to be here. Zilliqa is a sleeping giant, and that's what led me to hop over to this team.
I'm sure you both have been in the crypto space for a while. Was there like any point when you decided like I want to be a builder and help build this future world?
I guess, sorry, Tiago, I don't mean to just be jumping.
No,
Please go ahead.
I guess from my perspective, I was always within the space and helping. If you kind of look at the whole space, right, before Web3 kind of became a thing that people were familiar with, and I'm talking familiar as then mainstream people started to use Web3 and to use blockchain and crypto. What was happening prior to that was there was a digital transformation that was taking. I was very much in that, I guess you could say, industry, and within that vertical, helping brands transition. And back then we were still applying technologies such as blockchain and NFTs and all that, but we weren't referring to them as NFTs because people had no idea what that was. Back then, people were still talking about, social media, and we need tech to do that. So the quickest way to answer your question without taking the most time would be, for me personally, I was always in the space, but my shift kind of came across more with the freedom that blockchain brought, meaning that I was able to now focus purely on building for mass adoption, building for what would come from utilizing crypto, NFTs, blockchain, the metaverse, and all of that. So that would be my, I guess, story into building.
Tiago, how about you?
Yeah, so I entered the blockchain space, the crypto space in 2012 as a curious individual trying to figure out what this Bitcoin thing was all about, and it blew my mind. Started mining, and I started digging deep into, why Satoshi wrote that paper. I frequently say this, Andreas Antonopoulos was a huge influence because he really diluted everything like really well, the hard and complex notions diluted into simple terms that anyone could grasp, like myself as a non-developer. And it was like I could not sleep, I could not eat, because I really could see the future of what we can achieve with this technology to fix fundamental issues in society. I mean, this is a bit utopian, this is a bit idealist, but that's me in nature. As a creative person, someone who's worked in the creative industry before blockchain for many years, I do believe in the dream. I do believe that if you wake up with a mission within you, that you will achieve far, far more than if you're just working a 9 to 5. So as a builder myself, I've built a few projects. I do have some pet projects myself, but ultimately, I do feel a great satisfaction knowing that I'm doing my little part in contributing to building the next generation of the internet. And also not on the internet, but in real life, where this technology will fundamentally fix many of the trust issues that we have and help advance society into a new era of understanding.
Awesome. Very inspiring, both. Okay, let's get into Zilliqa. What is Zilliqa, and I guess what is the mission? Sandra,
You can take that, Tiago.
Tiago, okay.
So what is Zilliqa and what is the mission? Okay, so the mission of Zilliqa, well, Zilliqa, first of all, was built as primarily as an academic research project to try to solve the blockchain trilemma. So for those who don't know, the blockchain trilemma, as it's nicknamed, is, imagine a triangle where we have decentralization, security, and scalability. And typically, the more you want to decentralize, the less security and the less scalability you're able to achieve. The more security, the more the other vertices start getting compromised. So that's where Zilliqa research actually started, and then it launched about 5 years ago. We're having our 5th anniversary at the end of this month. And as you mentioned before, it was the first L1 chain to implement sharding, which I'm not going to get into because I'm not technical in nature and do not want to, say anything that is not representative of the truth. But for anyone who has heard about sharding, is a technology that will be able to help scale into potentially billions of people. So as an L1, it is a platform for development. People can come in and develop applications, decentralized applications, and from there on, the sky is the limit. So in a nutshell, yeah, it's an L1, but with a very so internally we have a very precise mission to actually showcase what is able to be achieved with this high performance chain.
Sorry, just adding on quickly to what Tiago said, I think, answering the question, what is our mission, is kind of very broad, right? Because if you ask me, for my departments, my mission is to really innovate the space when it comes to how can we make UX UI seamless, how can we integrate with further dApps that are building on Zilliqa. So as a mission, every department has its own core focus, but as a layer one, obviously our broader goal is to be the go-to L1 for anyone else who wants to build and enter the blockchain space. And it's very feasible if you look at the growing ecosystem that we have and the projects that we have on our chain.
Yeah, the growth in the last 5 years, I'm sure, has been immense. Can you guys kind of explain how far it's expanded in these last 5 years?
From an ecosystem perspective, there are 2 ways I can probably answer this before Tiago jumps in. I can answer from a Zilliqa perspective. For us internally, we've really also grown as a team. We've ventured more into broader markets. I think primarily we were mostly known within Asia or Southeast Asia, but now where we launched Metapolis, we've also been featured more in Europe in regards to other events that have been taking place. So that all kind of really comes down to our focus and our goal for expansion. But how we have grown as well, Zilliqa, aside from an ecosystem perspective, is if you look at all the the amazing projects that are kicking off from a community standpoint as well. You know, you have Package Portal who are doing some amazing things. You have XCAD who recently, held a very big event in Times Square in New York, and they pretty much lit up the massive screens with their logo and was all just great. So when you see projects like this filling into the ecosystem, and also you have so many to name. You have Dr. Death, you have Solar Citadel. I don't want to forget anyone. So it's as an ecosystem we are growing, and a big shout out goes to the community who is really. I think a big part of what we do comes down to how they drive the adoption with the support that they give, and to me that's very organic in how Zilliqa is growing. So I would say our growth is primarily organic and just comes down to the tech and to the the relationship with certain people within the space and projects.
About how many projects would you guys say are in the ecosystem now?
It's a very specific question.
Ballpark.
Very specific question. It's I mean, look, to be honest with you, that's popping up on the Zilliqa chain. We do have a lot of good partnerships. I can probably give you a clearer number on the partnerships because, as you know, us being a layer one, if there's a project that's building on our ecosystem, we don't always have that direct line of communication because it is open for everyone. So I prefer to not give. In terms of partnerships, just speaking from our perspective, I can tell you we have from a Metapolis side over 8 to 10 partnerships, and from a Rialto side, we've onboarded over 20, 30 plus artists into the space that we're really excited to. I guess from my department, everyone else will have different numbers, of course.
Yeah, just to add to that, it really is hard to quantify because being decentralized in nature, we do not have eyes where people are developing and where they're promoting their projects. What every day a community member flags, hey, I've just found a new project being built on ZIL. I have found a new project being built on ZIL. Now, if you go to ZIL Stream, if you Google ZIL Stream, that is a platform that it's kind of a dashboard with some of the listed ecosystem projects. We've also recently partnered with DAppRadar. But that means that the projects themselves need to go there and list their projects. So it's not up to us to curate that list, but it is growing daily. And yeah, it's really exciting to see that list grow.
Yeah, that must be exciting. Okay, now I want to jump into some of the questions that we've collected from our community. First question is from a Twitter user @DrunkenTree. The question is, as Zilliqa blockchain has its own programming language, which is Scylla for dApps, can you tell us what is the main reason behind creating your own coding language rather than using existing languages like JavaScript, Rust, Solidity? And then how do you attract developers to onboard in the Zilliqa ecosystem?
Absolutely. That is probably the hardest question for me to answer because I am not a developer and I was not there when Zilliqa was designed and idealized. But what I can say is that Scylla, so that's SCILLA, is a functional programming language as opposed to an imperative programming language. And what I understand, what is being taught to me is that when you are creating a smart contract, just the nature of being a functional programming language will make it so that it will avoid many bugs and exploits by default. That is not to say that these can't happen, obviously, but by default, it is much less error prone. So that is a good thing. That is a good thing. Now, how do we attract developers to onboard the Zilliqa ecosystem? Well, in many ways. First of all, we do have an incubator, educational incubator and accelerator partner project called ZILHive. We are already working on another educational program to literally onboard from zero to hero. And basically, we will also be rolling out a developer ambassador program. And very soon to come, also Evm compatibility. And that is going to be amazing because you will not be forced to learn a new language. You can be able to port your Solidity contracts over to Zilliqa. So it will very soon be very easy to onboard thousands of projects who wish to integrate with the Zilliqa blockchain. So stay tuned for that news soon to come.
Just quickly adding on to that, if any developer knows Python, then learning Scilla is actually very easy as a language. My background is in Python development, so it was very easy for me to kind of do that quick transition. I just wanted to note that because a lot of people sometimes get scared whenever they think of having to learn a new language, especially if you come from a developer. If you are familiar with Python, then that transition should be, very kind of easy for you to play around with and get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Cool. And I saw there's many resources on your guys' website about getting up to speed with Scilla. Looks really easy to get into. So for anybody who's interested, head to the Zilliqa website, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have two great resources. One is called Learn Scilla, which is a semi-interactive platform that will take you from the basics to the more advanced feature set. And we also have, for the more advanced developers, we have the Scilla cookbook, which goes into more in depth into the features that the language can provide.
Cool. Okay, moving right along. This is a question from Twitter user RawGV York. They ask, what are the utilities of ZIL?
The utilities of ZIL, the token. Very, very similar to any L1 that has scripting capabilities. So first and foremost, signing transactions, that's the most obvious, and send and receive tokens and send messages, sign messages. Interact with smart contracts and decentralized applications. You will be able to mint NFTs. You can create your own custom tokens, like everyone knows ERC20. We have our own ZRC2 token standard, and it's incredibly easy to launch. So anyone who has any idea for a project, even if they're not a seasoned developer, they will be able to get up and running with some basic tokens and take it from there. So yeah, that would basically be it.
Got it. All right, we're going to move on to speaking about NFTs. So Sandra, we're going to focus now on you. I'm going to start with a question we got from Twitter user Na999. They ask, can you explain Zilliqa's NFT marketplace? Can I create my own NFTs in Zilliqa? What are the requirements needed to create my own NFT?
Good question. Okay, so Zilliqa's NFT marketplace, I assume that they are referring to Rialto. So the purpose of Rialto is the art world, right? We were looking at NFTs in general. And if you look at how that transition has happened from when people first started to interact with NFTs, you realize that a lot of it's centered around PFPs and a lot of kind of generative art and just kind of like pieces that people would claim, become part of the community, and then it kind of rolled across to become what it is to be. There's a whole other part to NFTs that can be applied to the art world. So when I talk about art world, I mean like traditional artists, like sculptures, canvases, anything that you can think of, that photography even. These artists also need to enter the NFT space, because if you look at the space in general, galleries are how crystal around the corner, maybe from anyone's house, would operate, is that they have a roster of artists and they usually represent these artists. So the whole objective of Rialto came to be that we want to make it easy for these traditional artists, brands, and galleries to onboard into the NFT ecosystem, the Zilliqa ecosystem, through NFTs. Great UX UI for easy onboarding. We wanted to give them the same appeal that they would in a traditional gallery. And we wanted to focus a lot on collaboration, meaning that you as a brand or a gallery, you can have access to an entire data pool of artists or creators within the space. And you can actually add them to your roster and represent them, meaning that they're NFTs, meaning that any artist who now wants to onboard the space, whether they come from a traditional background or any kind of background, is able to do that. A lot of the artists that we have currently on Rialto have come with an NFT and a physical asset attached to the NFT, meaning if you purchase one, you get also a physical item. One of our artists who was on our Rialto Spaces last week actually developed, you get Spotify royalties. So the song is streamed on Spotify, attached to the NFT. You get a vinyl record delivered to you. You also get a physical copy of it, and you get the NFT. So there's a lot of utility attached to one artist and how they deliver it and bring it to market. Can you join Rialto? For now, we're being very kind of careful on who we're curating as artists, but in the future, hopefully the vision would be to open up to the broader market. The reason we're doing that is obviously because, you know, it is hard to kick off cure to the broader market. But in saying that, and I'll be very quick here, there are a lot of other NFT marketplaces within the Zilliqa ecosystem that you can partake in and launch your NFTs on.
Got it. A lot of options, and Rialto sounds really exciting. Yeah. I'm excited to see how it grows. Can you tell me a little bit about Zilliqa's stance on like the future creator economy?
Yeah, we love it. Future stance, it's amazing. No, I think for us and all that we're doing is we really want to give power to the end user. For us, it's very important that people understand that in Web era or the blockchain world, they are as important as any other kind of artist or any other kind of end user within the world that we live in, right? And I always like to use this example. Previously, a lot of digital artists, what they would do is they would, you know, graduate from university, they would put their portfolio on Behance or Dribble, and then they would wait for someone to either, you know, send them a request to work for them as a graphic designer, or maybe, I don't know, steal it, put it on a t-shirt and sell it. And there's been a couple of lawsuits previously with, I think, H&M and a couple of others. So what the creator economy actually enables is that it gives you the power to be your own you know, self-made machine of financial freedom. And for us, that's a beautiful thing because everyone now has an equal opportunity, and it really just comes down to how are you making use of your skills and what you can bring to market to make the best out of. So our stance is fully supportive, and this is why everything we are building always puts the creative everything that we do.
And is that kind of the ZRC6 token standard? This is what will allow the creators to do this?
Well, if you look at we recently launched the ZRC6, and there's ZRC7, which focuses on metadata, but ZRC6 generation NFT token, meaning that as a creator, you do have more control and power over what you are doing and just what you kind of input into the smart contract and how you kind of interact with the layer. But I would definitely recommend that everyone does have a good read of them and really understand how they can utilize them for them. Pretty interesting when you dive deep into it.
Cool. Okay, moving on, we have a Twitter question from @Maple212. NFT has started its transformation into the art world, but NFT has much deeper potential, and I'm sure it will soon influence many markets. Do you share this opinion? And can you share any predictions about the niches that will soon experience the innovations that NFT will bring?
Yeah, I actually finished writing an article on this a couple of days ago. So I think I still have the niches in my mind. So if you look at NFTs, right, NFTs right now, they are still primarily just focusing on, again, PFP. In general, they play a very big role in broader industries. One, for example, is ownership when it comes to purchasing assets. It could be a car, it could be a house, it could be legal, it could be patents, it could be trademarking. The luxury industry really can benefit from NFTs because also when securing that transfer of goods, supply chain. I mean, I can really keep going on and on and on and on, but as NFTs in general, look at them as a way where it kind of and look, let me give you a perfect example, right? That comes down to kind of trademarking. Yesterday, I think I read that says they are using the same name as their already established business. Had this been applied through, let's say, an NFT process where patents, trademarks, and copyright or even legal registrations were done on blockchain through an NFT ownership, then it becomes easier for registration or any kind of country to understand, okay, who registered first, how did they use it, how's it been, you know, you can kind of dive deeper into the ownership value of it rather than it just being placed on unfair, I guess you could say, equation of who has the broader reach and who has the bigger kind of better lawyers and so on and so forth. So NFTs, they fall through a lot of niches. Do we need them? 100%. Should we start to transition and applying them across industries? The sooner the better, because I feel like it would really bring a lot of value into a lot of industries that we now are probably trying to figure out how to the blockchain world.
Very good. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about Metaverse and, of course, Metapolis. But speaking of Meta, the same Twitter user, Maple212, asks, the concept of Metaverse is getting famous because of Facebook's Meta, of course. How do you view this? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity?
You know, I'm waiting for the day where I get on a podcast or go to an event where I get asked a question about Meta. um, to be honest with you, the concept of Metaverse, it's the two ways to answer this. Look, I think what happened was when Meta rebranded, having a large organization or company such as Facebook changing its entire identity to Meta obviously is going to generate a lot of PR and a lot of marketing. So did it play a part in actually pushing forward the term? Yes, definitely. You can't argue that. Was Metaverse waiting for that to happen into our life? Definitely not. Previously, again, goes back to how I introduced myself. The space was already there and growing, but people did not use Metaverse or NFTs to explain them to the end user because that would have caused confusion. Now we are able to do that. I actually forgot the second part, it being something, do you see it as a threat or an opportunity? Definitely not a threat. Definitely, you know, opportunities lie everywhere. With the Metaverse Standard Forum, we announced a couple of days ago that now Metapolis is a part of it as a principal partner, meaning that we will play a part and lend a hand in how we steer the standards and the regulation, kind of any framework that comes out for the future of the Metaverse. There are no threats and no issues when it comes to opportunity in the blockchain world. I think everyone is going to play a part, and you know, just like there isn't one website or one kind of Safari, you have Brave, you have, you know, Chrome and all of that. Chrome is Google, sorry, and all of them. But it kind of means, you know, there won't be one overarching metaverse. There will be a lot out there, and it's up to the end user where they want to belong and what experience they want to get from it. So I hope that answered the question. I kind of forgot it halfway. Sorry.
Yes. I think that leads well into my next question, where obviously Zilliqa has established themselves as a leader in the space, but Twitter user Julian Dambron asks, what is your strategy to become a leader in Metaverse?
My personal strategy? Zilliqa's strategy.
Zilliqa's strategy, I think, or both.
Zilliqa's strategy, perfect. I mean, look, it's very easy to say. I mean, what is considered a leader in the metaverse, right? It's, again, ties back to what I was saying before. There won't be one metaverse that takes them all. If you look at what Metapolis is doing, we operate as a metaverse as a service platform, meaning that for easy onboarding for brands and individuals into the space. Not everyone is going to know how to build a metaverse or build an entry point for their strategy into this new world that they're doing. Not everyone has the technical skills. And I always give this example, and I'll give it again. You know, cars are amazing. I have a car, you probably have a car. Maybe a lot of listeners have cars themselves, but that doesn't mean I'm out there assembling and building a car because I don't know how to do that. And it's the same with a metaverse. It's the same with any kind of industry that wants to enter it. You know, luxury fashion brands are good at luxury fashion, but for them to enter into the world of the metaverse, they might not have the same information when it comes to what layer to be on, how to build it, what is a token, what is an avatar, what role that will play, what standards to use in terms of rules, regulations, and safety. So a lot of it comes down to, you know, you really need a platform or a service that can support you with a core team that knows what they're doing. And that's what Metapolis is. To being a leader in the metaverse, I think we're doing a very good job, and I think we've really made our position well known where we stand, both Metapolis and Zilliqa.
For Metapolis, what kind of partners do you guys work with now, and what types of partners do you hope to work with in the future?
So our list is kind of spread out, right? We obviously have the partnerships that have been announced, which are Ninjas in Pajamas, Mad Lions, RRQ, Agora, and a couple of others, which, again, I cannot mention. I know a lot of people in the community don't like this, but the reason for us not being able to mention is because, again, we operate as a metaverse as a service, meaning that I cannot go out there unless the brand is ready to announce that they are entering the metaverse and say, oh, look, this is happening. So it's kind of like, I don't know, imagine Shopify making an announcement every time someone sets up a new on their using their platform, right? It's the same kind of approach. So our partners are already well known, and you can see them on the website. And we are kind of spread out now more across the art world, luxury, and we're doing a lot with F&Bs, and there's a lot of exciting stuff up and coming.
Excited to see them. Twitter user CivilLetJP asks, when will the Metapolis metaverse be operational?
Good question. And again, this, I guess, ties into what I was saying before. Metapolis itself is already operational. People should actually be asking and waiting for is, when will brands launch, and when are brands ready to open their metaverses in cities that are built by Metapolis? So maybe reframe that question and start asking the partners, because for us already exists, and it's there, open for everyone to kind of get in contact with us.
If someone wants to step foot into Metapolis, how can they go about that?
Well, they would need to get in contact with either myself or someone from the Zilliqa team, who will then you end up with me at the end point. But the way that it happens is, I really want to make this point again, is that we do operate as a metaverse as service. So when people enter Metapolis, I'll give you Zilliqa City, for example, right? We are about to launch Zilliqa City, and we're preparing for that. Zilliqa City is the first L1 to have a fully functional headquarters in the metaverse world through Metapolis. So for us to do that, what will happen is that Zilliqa City, we will announce through Zilliqa that we are going to be launching on this date, and this is what can happen, and this is the microsite. Go and have a look at it, and then you will enter Zilliqa City. You won't enter Metapolis, you'll enter Zilliqa City. Again, I'd like to give the same example as a Shopify, right? You don't really enter Shopify, you enter the e-commerce store that's built using Shopify. So I hope that kind of makes it clear for everyone.
Yeah, Zilliqa HQ sounds really amazing. Are you guys going to have your all hands meetings in Zilliqa City?
Everything. Everything's going to be in Zilliqa City. Twitter Spaces, YouTube AMAs, everything you want is going to be happening there.
Wow. Exciting. Okay, we have a few more Twitter questions to get through. One from PMBR Santos regarding Metapolis and its metaverse as a service model. What impact does it have on the ZIL token? How is ZIL used, I guess, in Metapolis?
Well, ZIL is transactional, right? So how to explain it easier. Every city that is built through Metapolis, they have the option to utilize their own token. But on the base layer, because we are powered, any transaction that happens incurs a fee. That fee is paid through ZIL, meaning that the more people are transacting, the more ZILs are being used, moving around the ecosystem. There is an option to utilize Zilliqa as a payment option as well, if a city wants to do so. So, for example, in Zilliqa City, ZIL will be used primarily. Well, not primarily, mostly. It will be used as our payment method and our token. So how does it impact the ZIL token is through the transactions that occur. That's why being powered by Zilliqa is very important, because it means that we have the ability to scale massive number of transactions through the sharding technology that we mentioned and our smart contracts.
All right, one more Twitter question from Jenna H4646. In the new blockchain era, many game projects are working on VR and RPG games. Does Zilliqa's metaverse team have a plan for VR and RPG games?
I think this question kind of covers two aspects that are happening within Zilliqa right now. So we actually have our gaming department, which are developing, I'm pretty sure everyone has seen it, the first FPS come out from, in regards to the gaming department. And then we also have, sorry, just let me read that question. Many games have to VR. VR in itself is not something that we kind of, I'm sorry, I'm just finding the question kind of hard to. Does Zilliqa members have plan for VR? Okay, so VR is an end user, I guess you could say, approach to. So for us, if we're building a city, there is an option for you to engage with it through VR, but it's not the go-to for all of our partners. Meaning that we do understand that not everyone has a VR headset lying around. We do primarily use AR more so when it comes to how we're looking at integration is there upon request, and that only comes down to the end experience that people want to put out, right? When it comes to RPG games, Metapolis in itself in the future is going to be allowing for, I guess you could say, the gamification of certain cities and of how people build and interact with each other through their domes or through their cities or through the lands that they buy. Is there a plan? Yes, there are two ways though to answer this question, because I think what the person wants to know is Metapolis using VR? Yes, there is a VR option. Is Zilliqa heading into gaming? Yes, we do have a game department and they are doing some amazing. You can see all over our socials, and it's actually really interesting because they keep giving you teasers of the maps and they're kind of beautiful to look at. So two questions, and I hope I answered them clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Great.
thank you. Okay, well, that wraps up our NFT and metaverse questions. Thank you so much, Sandra. We're going to switch over to talk about community. So I think we're going to bring Tiago back on. Hello. Let's jump into some of these questions about community. So first and foremost, can you tell us about the Zilliqa community and ZIL fam?
ZILFam. So ZILFam, hashtag ZILFam. It's a hashtag that was created precisely to stimulate the community. It is a flag, so to speak. It is a personal statement to show belonging and participation in our ecosystem and in our community. Clearly, it's a way to demonstrate that you are part of the Zilliqa community, and also to empower and support each other, so projects and other individual community members. So it's like a football team has its anthem. On social media, we have our anthem, and it's called Zilliqa.
We have our own crow fam, so I can see the similarities there. What roles can the community play in the Zilliqa ecosystem?
Any role. So you can just be curious. I mean, I expect many of your community viewing this podcast might it's the first contact with Zilliqa. They might feel inspired. Oh, there's something interesting in here in this NFT or Metapolis or the gaming. Let me just check it out. So just start there. Then you may become an active participant in our social media or in our Discord or in our Telegram. Just get involved, start talking to other community members, ask questions. We are happy to answer them. You can become an ambassador. So the ambassadorship, as of right now, is being developed by myself, and we are currently recruiting intra-community from established community members, and pretty soon we're testing out some proof of concepts because I want to design it in a slightly different way as I've done it before. But very soon we will open it up to the wider community so that anyone who feels inspired may participate. As a developer, we will have a developer ambassadorship, but as I mentioned before, we also have an educational incubator and accelerator program. We have something called the Web3 Alliance that we recently launched. So if you are quite knowledgeable in the blockchain industry and you have contacts, then please do reach out. We do need advisors. So you can actually participate in the ecosystem by being an advisor and stimulating the Web3 development. And yeah, to touch again on the ZIL Hive, which is really important. It's our it's a program that is created specifically to for entrepreneurs and developers, people who have an idea, who don't have developers who don't have a marketing arm, who don't understand marketing. Just reach out with your ideas. We will be happy to have a conversation with you. We may be able to secure funding. We'll take it one step at a time. But yeah, basically that is it. I mean, just scope out from the outside, from the 350 foot view, all the way to interacting directly on our channels. Yeah, just hop on and we'll be happy to take you along the ride.
Cool. Lots of opportunities. So we have one question from a Twitter user, REORIZQY. Do you have any specific plans to attract and expand your community? And then a second question, and improve the user experience. Maybe we can start about the attracting and expanding community first.
Sure. So obviously, it is natural that the universal language of our industry is English. Not to say that Mandarin is not really relevant in raw numbers, but the vast majority of people communicate in English. And that is all fine and good, but there are billions of people out there who they might understand English, but they're not able to write or speak. So that is a limitation, or just downright not be able to interpret fully what is written in English. So one of my missions is to expand our community into the geographies that are in communities who are not comfortable with English. And by that, that means a lot of translation and a lot of community support in other languages. So I've seen this before. It's very interesting what happens out of there. I mean, all the way from universities to government bodies who just simply are not English natives, and that alone is an angle that is able to um, be catalyst to a huge uptick in terms of community growth. Now, the tough question is improve user experience, because user experience is something that is very unique to each individual, and UX and UI is a science in itself, and it really ties in with the product at hand. So if you are talking about, in the broad sense, community, we are shaping our community activities one step at a time. We recently started the Twitter Spaces with Rialto Artist Spotlights. I'm currently also designing a new Discord specifically for our first-person shooter game soon to come. Even our own Discord was recently completely redone in terms of graphical interface to be more attractive and easier to navigate. But now is the time where we start to actually talk about community engagement, and that is a picky topic, especially in this current bear market, and our product pipeline is still to come. So it is a very exciting time to actually enter our community and be their front row seat for the very cool things that are about to happen.
Exciting. I think you covered this, but we have another similar question from Twitter user Nafi Dermis, speaking about countries where English isn't widely spoken. Do you have local communities right now that would help people understand the project better in other languages?
We do indeed. We do indeed. So right now, if you hop on our main Telegram channel, we have a message that pops up every hour or every 2 hours where we have the link to community-driven language-specific channels. So we're talking about German, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Hindi. I mean, the list just goes Turkish. The list just goes on. And these are community-driven initiatives. So they are not really official channels, but they have been around for quite a while. And these are known and trusted community members. Now I'm onboarding these people to become ambassadors, to give them an actual official badge of approval. And we are doubling those efforts on Discord and through many, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but I'm going to incentivize these community members to actually be more proactive in terms of community growth. And we will give them the resources for that to happen. So I do envision in this, moving forward, that our non-English speaking communities will grow significantly, and that will tie in with many of the things that are soon to come that I'm not able to speak up at this moment.
All right. One more question from Twitter user TAnon80. Do you take into account community feedback and demands when developing features of your project?
Feedback, yes. Demands, unfortunately, no. That's impossible. I mean, it would be, it's impossible. But feedback, yes. Feedback is very important because exactly because we are a team and we operate, in a closed loop environment. Sometimes it's very difficult to step outside our comfort zone and our field of view and actually see from the outside how people are interpreting our messages or, the day-to-day life. Or just features that we haven't thought of. Just the more brains thinking about a problem, the better. So absolutely, we do have a channel in our Discord, which is exactly called feedback, and people do drop their feedback. We do collect them. We do send them internally, but there is a huge difference between having a really good idea, and this is an old adage in design and product management that, the client thinks, oh, can we just put a button here that when you press this feature, and on the back end that is, oh my God, we have to retro engineer our whole product for this quote unquote simple feature to actually function. So please, community, do not take it the wrong way if you identify something that is, could be done better or is wrong, and it's very quote unquote simple to do, and we are not executing. That doesn't mean that we are not sensitive to it. Many times is that it is impractical, or it is not really high up there in the list of priorities. Having said this, please do not abstain from sending all of your feedback, all your comments in any area that you feel that you have an opinion, because like I said, we do appreciate that feedback.
Very good. All right, we are almost done. A few more questions. We're going to bring back Sandra for these last few questions about kind of the future of Zilliqa. So Twitter user Luis Cano88, what are the next challenges and roadmap for the rest of 2022?
Sandra?
I guess, yeah, sure. I guess next challenges and roadmap for the rest of 2022. From a Zilliqa perspective, and again, it comes down to each department's own roadmap, but we each are following through with a vision. So for me, it would be Rialto, Metapolis, and of course, growing the partnerships and just continuing with the creator economy push and just really innovating the space as much as we can. From a Zilliqa perspective, I guess I could say would be to continue, growing our team and just expanding into more markets. And I prefer to not get into any technical, I guess you could say, roadmap visions, because not my department. But it's there's a lot of exciting things that are brewing and happening, that's for sure.
On the community side?
Yeah, to add on to that, it's not even on the community side, it's on the actual project. We have many, this year is just going to be incredible. Like I said, Zilliqa is a sleeping giant. One of the most exciting things for me personally is the first-person shooter, which is coming out. So think of it as directly, like, imagine Counter-Strike Go. That is what it's going to be looking like. And as a gamer, most of my life, and still am a gamer, that's really exciting for me. And to touch on the FPS game, which the name will be revealed soon. It's a low polygon game, so that means that it is not super high resolution. That means that computers that are 5, 10, 15 years old will be able to run it really smoothly at a high frame per second rate. The multiplayer, so right now it's in alpha, but you can go on YouTube and type Zilliqa gaming or Zilliqa map 2 or something like that, and you will be able to see some actual alpha footage. Right now, the multiplayer layer of the game is on the last stage of development. Pretty soon, we will be able to internally as a team start doing some multiplayer gaming before the beta launch. And yeah, it has a top-notch multiplayer tech stack. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not qualified, but that is, I can assure you, once Valentin comes and actually speaks about the technical aspect of the game, those who understand competitive gaming will understand how this is a huge deal. A lot of improvement has been done on the performance. So we are achieving extremely high frame per second FPS rates, even on low computers. Right now, we're supporting 5 to 5 multiplayer, then moving on to 10 to 10, and still investigating how that affects performance in terms of data traffic. And there's a lot of optimizations still to come. So we are at the alpha stage, but pretty soon, and by pretty soon, we're not talking years, we're talking about a couple of weeks until private beta, and then moving on to beta and then public launch. So somewhere around Q4, you will be able to actually get your hands on this. And this ties into also the gaming hub. So we are alongside the first-person shooter. We are working on a gaming hub. So for those who are gamers, think of it as a Steam for crypto. And it's going to work on Windows, Macs, and Linux. So no one will be left out. And many more cool things that right now I am tied and I'm not able to. I wish I could, but I can't.
No, well, thank
the
you.
ambassador program.
Oh, there's more. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
there's more.
more.
There's so much more. There's so much more. So the ambassador program, like I mentioned, right now it's in kind of alpha. We're recruiting internally non-community members, and I'm building that out so it serves the purpose to do justice to those who wish to participate and contribute with their time and their experience, but also to serve a purpose to actually help grow our project. So instead of just designing a prototypical ambassador program, I'm dialing into each vertical and trying to extract the maximum value. So I'm negotiating this with the ambassadors. I'm actually having a call with the ambassadors later on today. And like I keep saying, I'm going to treat it like a DAO type structure where, it's bi-directional. So I'm going to invite ambassadors to actually help build the ambassadorship. But at the same time, start rolling out some features, which are already happening. And I mean, the last one and most relevant, I would say, is the EVM compatibility, which will, at a flick of a switch, will be able to onboard thousands of developers and thousands of projects and smart contracts over to Zilliqa and make use of our chain and its feature set. Very high transaction throughput, extreme stability, one block finality, and there's so much more. So yeah, there's so much going on.
A
It's
lot
really
going
exciting
on.
times.
Yeah, in so many different verticals. Wow. Well, thank you both so much. That wraps up all the AMA questions. Thank you, Tiago and Sandra, for taking the time to sit down and answer the community's questions. And of course, thank you to the community for sending them in. Before we say goodbye, any final message that you guys would like to share with the people watching?
Yeah,
Get
I mean,
involved.
I guess become part of the ecosystem. Really go in there,
Mm.
dive deep, keep in contact, enjoy the community. Again, we really do have a beautiful and amazing community that is very supportive of, a lot of initiatives come out from them actually. So again, another big shout out to them, and anyone who's listening and is not involved in Zilliqa yet, now's a good time for you to actually look into what we do and consider it for sure.
Yeah, like Sandra said, I mean, if you are a seasoned crypto practitioner, then for sure we have something for you. If you're completely new to crypto, then what better chain than Zilliqa? We have so many things going on in so many different verticals with a seriously highly qualified team that is growing by the day. Top of the notch professionals from various industries. So we are here to impress. We are here to raise the bar, set a new standard. Just hop on our social channels, join our Discord, and start by being curious and then start participating. And soon enough, you'll be part of Zilliqa.
Yes, you can follow our guests on Twitter, Sandra at Sandra Talib and Tiago at Meta Tiago. You can follow Zilliqa at Zilliqa on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Reddit, and Zilliqa Official on IG. And you guys are also on Telegram, Discord. All the links, I believe, are available at zilliqa.com/community. And of course, make sure you're following Crypto.com to stay informed about our upcoming events, contests, and announcements. You can follow us at Crypto.com and make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future AMAs. Thank you both so much, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you,
Thank
Marina. It
you.
was a pleasure.
Thanks.